Hey everyone, how's it going? Back again with another video. I hope everyone has had a great week. I'm just thankful to be back in my house this week. After nearly two straight weeks of traveling, I'm back home this week. And that's actually kind of what I want to talk about this week because I think that traveling can be quite a tough thing on a lot of people when it comes to their health and keeping up their health, particularly when they're away from their house and their normal routine and just the normalcy of what they're used to. So actually, it's a kind of cool situation to talk about because the traveling was for two different reasons and two very different scenarios. So compare and contrast both approaches that I use personally in these scenarios. So 2 weeks ago, uh, it was winter break here in New Hampshire. My kids were off of school, and we usually try to get away during winter break so we can experience some kind of sunshine and warmth in the middle of winter here in New Hampshire. So this year we went down to Texas in a town just outside of Austin, Texas, actually. And like we always do, we rented in an Airbnb, and I'll chat a little bit more about why we do that in a second. And spent about 6 days down there in Texas. This is purely for fun, vacation, time to relax, etc. But we, as a family and as an individual, we prioritize sticking to as much normalcy as possible when on vacation. Helps keep everyone sane, I think. And for me, that's part of my normalcy is making sure I'm keeping up with all my habits that I'm concerned about with regards to my health, nutrition wise, sleep wise, exercise, movement, that type of stuff. So part of the reason why we prefer to get an Airbnb when we travel is because it offers a lot of advantages when it comes to your health, maintaining your health while you're traveling. One of them is, and the one that I think is probably the hardest to navigate while traveling, is from a food perspective. With an Airbnb, you have a kitchen, fridge, you can go grocery shopping, pick out foods just like you normally would eat at home and bring them back to the house. And it offers you the opportunity to cook meals, prepare your own food. And I'm not saying that you need to prepare every single dish yourself on vacation. Obviously, I encourage you to go check out new restaurants, check out new foods, experience the cuisine of the area that you're traveling in. And for example, one night, Texas is widely known for their barbecue. And so we went out for a barbecue one night. We got barbecue from joint. How can you go to Texas and not have barbecue? We did that, right? Because barbecue is one of the foods that Texas is definitely well known for. We also went out for ice cream and got ice cream one night, right? So these are things that we would normally do every day at home. We're on vacation, so we're going to do some things that we wouldn't normally do at home. But with an Airbnb and a kitchen and whatnot, we also had the opportunity to prepare our own food. So we're relying on going out to eat all the time. And it's bought a lot of the foods, fruits, vegetables, proteins, stuff like that. Same type of foods that we normally would at home, and had them at the house. And so that way we had some meals that were prepared at home, and that keeps our diet somewhat fairly in check while we're away. So again, want you to go out and relax and enjoy and different experience the cuisine and have some foods that you maybe wouldn't normally have while at home, while on vacation. It's vacation, you should enjoy yourself, all that fun stuff. But there's some balance there where not every single meal needs to be a celebration, right? And an extravagant event. It's okay to have eggs with vegetables in the morning, right? And definitely there's a balance there. And I find having an Airbnb allows that balance from a food perspective. The other thing that I really prioritize when we're selecting a place to go on vacation personally is that we have some type of opportunity to do some family physical activity together. So the other thing, whether it could be anything, right? It just has to be us as a family outdoors doing something physically active. It could be a hike, it could be skiing, it could be anything. In this case, we were obviously not skiing. We went to, like I said, Texas, and right outside of Austin. Austin has a great bike trail downtown that kind of rides along the river that flows through the center of the city. And we rented bikes one day, and it's a 10-mile loop around this bike trail. Wasn't sure my kids were going to be able to do all 10 miles, but we set out and rented our bikes and went for a bike ride. And long and behold, the kids did all 10 miles. And so we had a great time riding the bikes. There was plenty of places to stop along the way, along the bike trail. This bike trail is also a really cool city if you haven't had a chance to go there. But along this bike trail, we also had like outdoor gyms, which we stopped at quite a few. And the kids proceeded to do some exercises, some pull-ups, and climb on the different equipment that they had outside, which is pretty cool. So they got even some more physical activity that way. But yeah, we went out and did a nice bike ride, and 10 miles, probably a little bit more because we went off in different directions sometimes. Took a couple hours to get done. All in all, it was very relaxing and we had a great time. It was probably the highlight of our trip. So I think that when doing some kind of vacation, it's important to have some access to some kind of physical activity, like whether it's hiking or biking or skiing or whatever, just some kind of place that supports physical activity. And of course, you could always walk. I went on plenty of walks while I was there, just exploring the city. My wife and I went out to eat one night, and while we were there, and then after we had dinner, we went out for a nice long walk, right? So like having some place that is conducive to physical activity is important for us while we're on vacation as well. The other thing that I look for in the place we're going to visit is, it is a necessity because I'll explain why in a second, is some kind of gym, right? For me, I love to go to the gym. It's part of my routine. I find it personally relaxing. I love to be able to go in a gym and I have zero time constraints and I can just work out. I like going to new gyms, trying out different types of equipment that I might not have at home, all that fun stuff. And this Airbnb we rented was part of a larger community. And in the description of the Airbnb, it said that they had a gym, but there was no description as to what was inside that gym. So there is a gym. I don't know how good or bad this gym is going to be. Luckily, it was actually pretty fantastic. Some of the equipment was a little dated, but it was all in perfect working condition. They even had some equipment that I was surprised that they had, and I was able to get in some fantastic workouts at the gym. But I've also been in scenarios where I go to an Airbnb and there really is no access to a gym to speak of. For example, we went on vacation to Puerto Rico last year and rented an Airbnb, and there was no gym in the town that we were in. What I do in that case, and actually what I did when we went to Texas as well, is I brought along my TRX, or my suspension trainer. If you're not familiar with what a TRX or a suspension trainer is, it's basically a strap with two handles. It can be mounted to really any place, a tree, a door frame, a ceiling with a hook. It's just, there's a lot of different versatility. You can pretty much, it packs really well in a suitcase, and it provides an excellent form of workout when combined. All you just need is the strap and your body weight, and you can do all kinds of different exercises with it. But I brought that along with me just in case the gym ended up being some crusty dumbbells and an old treadmill, right? So I had that as a backup, but I always bring that with me when I know that there could be a chance where I'm not going to have access to a gym. So it allows me to get in a good workout. And that, combined with the fact that I can go for a run and I can walk, is all I really need to stay physically active while I'm traveling. So that was the first week we were traveling. Then we came home for 2 days, and then I had to go away, this time to Atlanta, for a work conference. And this is a very different scenario where I was actually in a hotel for 6 days. So compare and contrast that. There was no eating, making my own food, or etc. And so from a food perspective, it's a little bit more challenging. But the good news is the hotel had a halfway decent breakfast buffet every morning, which wasn't terribly expensive. I believe it was $19 for the breakfast buffet. And they had scrambled eggs, they had fruit, they had some sausage, they even had some prosciutto. See what else they had. Yeah, it wasn't fantastic. They had coffee, of course, which is great. And it wasn't amazing. There was certainly a lack of vegetables, a lot less vegetables than I'm used to eating at breakfast, but with scrambled eggs and some fruit, some prosciutto, and I was able to scramble together a decent breakfast every morning for myself. The hotel gym is like most hotel gyms. It had a couple treadmills, some very light dumbbells, and some cable machines, which is definitely enough to get in a decent workout while traveling. But I also was able to find a pretty decent gym that was not too far away that had a drop-in rate. And really all drop-in rate is basically you don't have to be a member, you just pay a fee and you can work out there. And for my strength training sessions while I was traveling that week, I utilized the gym for the drop-in rate, this other gym that I found that I could walk to in the morning. I got in my workouts there. It cost me $20 a pop. It's a little pricey. For me, it's worth it to get in a decent strength workout. That worked out. So always while you're traveling, look for gyms that have drop-in rates. Most major cities, you can find them and you can get in a decent workout while traveling. And then I always like to go for a run around places where I'm traveling. So I went for a run around Atlanta. It's a great way to see the sights and explore the city a little bit. Obviously, be safe. Make sure you're running in safe areas, etc. But for me, I was pretty confident with where I was going. Knew I would be safe, so it'd be great. And then from a food perspective, come back to that. I realized I didn't finish my thought there. The breakfast was at the hotel every day, but the rest of the meals were eaten out. It can be quite challenging to get truck meals. At least when you're in a major city, there's usually a couple of restaurants that have some healthy options available to you. I always look for, while I'm traveling, if there's a Whole Foods in the city, because their hot bar tends to be halfway decent. I always look for restaurants like Sweet Green that allow you to, or restaurants in general that allow you to construct either your own salad or a healthy bowl of some kind, that type of stuff. And usually in major cities, you can find a restaurant that's like that. And also the cool thing now with things like Uber Eats and DoorDash is that those restaurants don't even need to be where you're staying in the city to get them. They can be further out. So there were quite a few times where I ordered from a place called Recess. I've never heard of it before, but it's a very similar restaurant. They allow you to create your own bowls and construct your own dishes and stuff like that. And so I was able to create a bowl with a bunch of vegetables, a healthy protein. Sometimes it was steak, sometimes it was chicken, sometimes it was salmon, and have that delivered to me. And it was probably 5, 6, 7 miles from where I was staying in Atlanta, but the DoorDash and Uber Eats, I get that delivered to my hotel room, and that would be my lunch or dinner. Obviously, traveling for work, in my case, I would go out. Occasionally, we have meetings and dinners and stuff like that organized by people, and you got to do the best you can. So one night, my teammate had organized a dinner for the entire team to go out actually to this place called Flights, which is actually a dart throwing place, which is super fun to do. But the food wasn't necessarily the type of food that I would normally eat on an everyday basis. They had sliders, they had mini tacos, they had pizza, they did have a good hummus plate with some vegetables, a Caesar salad, and that type of stuff. There wasn't really much in the way of protein. Obviously, a lot of food probably had a ton of hidden calories in it when it was fried and stuff like that. Pizza is not something I would normally eat. I prefer to have my burgers without the bun, all that's left, the sliders. I definitely loaded up on as much vegetables with the salad and the hummus plate that I possibly could. And then I had a slice of pizza. I had a couple of these little mini tacos that have sashimi in them, raw fish, which is fantastic. And then I probably had 3 of the sliders and took the buns off and ate the burger out of them. Was it the best meal ever? No. Sometimes you gotta play with what you got, and it's okay, because if you try to mitigate the other things, I had at the breakfast at the hotel. I had my lunch. I ordered from one of the places that I liked and got some good vegetables and protein in during the day. And then I went out and enjoyed myself with my teammates at night and maybe ate some food that I probably normally would. And just like in everyday life, you try to balance things out. Sometimes not every day needs to be perfect, etc. You can have the occasional meal here and there where it may not be perfect and not be any worse off. You got to take that same approach while traveling. And I think what a lot of people struggle with while traveling is like everything goes off rails. Their sleep is gone off rails there because they're out late, etc. They're not exercising. They're stuck in a meeting all day, not moving. And then the food is like a mystery to them, and they're eating all kinds of stuff and garbage. I think with a little bit of forethought and planning and preparation going into these types of travel events, you can help mitigate a lot of that stuff. And this is actually a lot of things that I work on with my clients who are like me, travel occasionally, or everyone goes on vacation, and try to figure out how do they balance their health habits plus enjoying themselves and all that stuff. And I really work with them to realize that you put in a little bit of extra effort before you go, figure out what your options are, what you're going to do, how to get in some physical activities, some movement, all that stuff. Have a halfway decent plan as far as how you're going to attack your food. Try to stick to somewhat of a bedtime most of the time. Try to get some decent sleep. Yeah, stay out late, enjoy yourself sometimes. That's fine. You also have the opportunity to sleep in, usually when you're on vacation, for example, but it's okay to derail some of these things a little bit, have a little bit more wiggle room while you're traveling, because most of the other time you're spot on with what you're doing while you're at home, and you're not just off the rails completely while you're traveling, and that helps mitigate any kind of um, damage that you might suffer from these travel excursions. So I hope you find that useful, just sharing my own experience with how I deal with traveling in these two very different scenarios that I experienced over the past 2 weeks. And if you have any questions, please leave them below. And if you really need some help navigating these types of scenarios, I do have a couple of one-on-one slots open for coaching. So please visit me at rjbhealth.coach. Click on the schedule discovery call button right on the homepage, fill out that form, and we can talk a little bit more about coaching and how I can help you do similar things that I talked about today. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please, again, leave any comments or feedback below, and I'll talk to you all next week.